Mexico saw a major brewing boom in the late 1800s, with several major brands establishing themselves just before the turn of the century. Cuauhtémoc Moctezuma Brewery started production in 1890. To celebrate the beginning of the 20th century, the company released Siglo XX, using Roman numerals to signal 20. Eventually, it became known as Dos Equis. Is this beer worthy of the most interesting man in the world? Let's find out on Two Dudes Reviews.
What up, guys? Yeah, today we have Dos Equis Lager Especial, and we're just gonna crack this right open. Now, I do wish that they used the brown bottle that they use for their amber. The green is, I'll admit, the green is better than the clear bottle for light protection, but it's still not as good as it could be. Although there's some other green bottles that are so clear, it makes the beer look really just funky. And so it's a fine green bottle. The beer doesn't look weird in it. So I was having one from India the other day, and it was just such a light green that it just, everything looked bad before you even drank it. So I don't know, that's my little with the bottles. But anyways, let's get into the smell. Alright, I'm not getting a whole lot out of it. I mean, there's the that slight wheat barley thing going on that you get from most lagers, but there's not a lot there, really. Yeah, I'm not getting much of anything. Maybe a slight peach, maybe. It's kind of like, yeah, really just like a wet peach traditional lager smell. There's not I'm really not getting anything out of this. Yeah, I'm getting just about nothing. So I'm gonna just rate it a half because it doesn't stink. It doesn't smell bad. I'm just getting really nothing out of it. But hopefully I get more taste out of it. So let's get into the taste. Yes, there is flavor. Don't worry, if you're watching the college football playoffs and you see all the Dos Equis commercials, there is going to be some flavor with it. Yeah, and there's definitely more flavor than what you might get from other similarly priced lagers. Like if you go shopping for like an American run-of-the-mill lager, this definitely has more flavor. Dos Equis has a little bit of a plumish flavor to it. The amber one, much more so, has more of the plum. This one is a little bit more subtle, but on top of the subtle plumness in there, I'm almost going to say that there's a little hint of a peachiness in there too. And you have that kind of that wheatish barley kind of thing going on that you get from a lot of lagers in that same price range. But it isn't that like damp wheat. You know those some of the cheaper beers that you might get, and you smell it and you taste it, and it just tastes like wet bread, like stale wet bread, and there's like the little funky going on. This doesn't have that, so that is good, and so I'm gonna recommend it on the taste. I think the taste is pretty good. It's one of those things where if you haven't had a Dos Equis before, you kind of look at it and you know it's a little more mass produced, and so you, at least if you're me, you kind of start to worry because a lot of more mass produced beers, it's just kind of, how is this so popular? But this one isn't that bad, so I am gonna recommend it on the taste. Next is value for price, and if you've watched any of my other Mexican beer videos, you know that I almost always recommend it on value for price, and that stays the same. I think this is maybe a little more than like your Coronas or anything like that, and then Modelos and everything, but the price isn't terrible at all. It's still a very good price for an import. It's probably on par with like a Labatt or a Molson for how much you pay for an import. All those beers are very low import level price, probably because they bring so much in, but it's a good, and they're not coming from very far, but it is a good price, and so I'm going to recommend it for value for price. Next is drinkability. Would I have a problem with drinking multiple ones of these? I'm probably not. Let's this tastes so similar to the amber. There's not a vast difference between just a regular lager and the amber. This is the lager. A lot of the kind of the clear Mexican beer glass those are more, I think, designed more along the lines of like a Czech Pilsner. Not always great, but a Czech Pilsner. This is more of a lager. But yeah, this and the amber, there's not a whole lot of difference. The amber is a slightly darker, it's got a little more of the plumish thing going on, but there's not a whole lot between those. But just in terms of drinkability, you don't have that wet bread taste. The taste doesn't linger at all, which oftentimes that's why you can't drink a whole lot of one beer, because you drink it and it's just, you have that taste that's just sitting in your mouth for just forever. This isn't like that. It hits your taste buds and it's out pretty quickly. And so you don't feel like, you're being weighed down by this taste that won't go away. So I am going to recommend it on drinkability. I don't think there's any problem with that. Distinction is the next category. So distinction. You have to compare it to other lagers. And, the other kind of Vienna lager style thing that they got in Mexico is you have your Bohemia and your Modelo Negra or Negra Modelo, depending on which bottle you get now. But I'm going to say those are better, but they're also darker. This is closer towards kind of like the everyman's lager kind of thing. The others are closer to, if you like more of the European, German Vienna style lager. This is a little lighter. The flavor goes away a little quicker, but that might be what you're looking for. If you had the Bohemia and that kind of stuff, and you want something that's maybe like a hair less, dark, or you just not quite as European or whatever, this is a good way to go. And but that said, I do like the other ones better. I do like those. I like the taste better. There's nothing wrong with this one. I'm actually relatively surprised with what it was, but I'm gonna give it a half, just because there are readily available other Mexican beers that I think are better, and you will find them just about as frequently as this. But if those other ones weren't available, this is fine, but I'm going to give it a half. Last category is, would I buy it again? And that, it kind of depends. If I wanted a Mexican beer and I'm going to the grocery store, I'm just going to get one of the other ones that I'd already talked about. If I'm at a restaurant and I want a Mexican beer, depending on where you're at, you might not have a Bohemia. The chances of having a Modelo Negra is a little higher, just because Modelo is everywhere, and they're produced by the same people that make Corona. So that, I don't know. If the other two options aren't available, I'll go with that. But just generally from a store, I probably wouldn't, because I like the other ones better. So again, I'm gonna give this a half for that reason. But anyways, that is my review of Dos Equis Lager Especial. I think it's actually a fine beer. There's not much wrong with it. It might not have as much flavor as you want that you've had from other Mexican lagers, but for the most part, it's not bad. And if it's at a party or whatever, you could do a whole lot worse with other beers that probably other people are gonna bring. So it's not terrible. And it's actually, if you haven't had it before, give it a whirl. You might be surprised. But anyways, that's the review. If you've had it before, let me know in the comments. Maybe this is like your favorite Mexican beer. Let me know. Maybe there's other ones you think I should check out. Let me know too. But yeah, if you could like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. You know, got Twitter, got a podcast. I got a link to the podcast down below. But yeah, that is about it. So for myself and for Dos Equis Lager Especial, take it easy.